Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi at-Tahirin. وَاللَّعْنَةُ الدَّائِمَةُ عَلَىٰ أَعْدَائِهِمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. We were discussing the discussion of niyat and arkan of the salat, the pillar wajibs. There are a few points that I would like to mention about the niyat before we move forward, inshallah. So we talked about the niyat already, and the definition of niyat in our fiqh and how we are supposed to do the niyat. It's the qasdul qalb, it's the driving force, the motivating force inside the heart. You don't have to say it, you don't have to even remember the sentence in your heart. You just have to have bil ijmal, that means the theme of the niyat and intention should be present in your qalb. That's enough. Now, one important thing which is remaining about niyat is the concept of udul. This is also almost dead. The nib is almost. Yeah, please take those two away so we don't need to. No, this black one I'm holding in my hand. This nib is broken, almost टूटी हुई है ना, दब गई अंदर. इन दोनों के अलग कर दें इनको. अच्छा. Yeah, this one is good. Thank you. So, udul means transferring. It is allowed to transfer in certain cases, and that's what we are discussing tonight. So, if a person starts his asr before the dhuhr, or starts his isha before maghrib, what is the ruling about that? Now obviously, if this thing is done amdan, means intentionally, the salat is batil, it's invalid. But if this thing is done sahwan or nisyanan, that means unintentionally or forgetfully, in both the cases the salat is valid. Now there are rulings which apply. What are those rulings that apply in the case? So first of all, as soon as he remembers that he started his dhuhr before the asr, for example, he should, as soon as he remembers, he should transfer his niyat transfer the niyat to the dhuhr immediately, as soon as he remembers, recalls. Likewise, if he started his isha before the maghrib, he should transfer his niyat towards maghrib immediately. But this transfer of the niyat, which we call udul in Arabic, can only be possible if he didn't cross. This is possible if he did not cross the mahal, means the place of udul, the place of transferring. What we mean by that is that, let's suppose somebody is praying his Isha prayers before the Maghrib. He was supposed to pray Maghrib first, because these are the murattaba prayers. We have prayers which are murattaba, means they are murattaba because there is a tartib and sequence mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while doing those prayers. So you can't do it by messing up the sequence. So we call them salawatul murattaba, those prayers which are done in a special sequence. So we always do the Dhuhr first and then the Asr. We always do the Maghrib first and the Isha later. So if somebody starts the Isha unintentionally or out of forgetfulness, amdan, the Salat is gone. You cannot do that. If he does it, Salat is batil. But sahwan or nisyanan, if he does it, the ruling says he should transfer his niyat immediately to Maghrib. But this niyat can only be transferred if he did not cross the mahal, which means, for example, if he was reading Isha prayers before the Maghrib and he already started the fourth rakat of the Isha. When he already started the fourth rakat of Isha, he entered into the ruku. You cannot leave the ruku and quit the ruku and then go to the third rakat. This is impossible. So when you have started the fourth rakat and you already are in the ruku situation, obviously you have started the rukn and you have entered into the rukn. Now you cannot do the udul because you crossed the mahal. The border, the last place where you were allowed to transfer was before entering into the fourth rakat, in the ruku. Because you cannot return back from the rukn. If you return back from the rukn, you will add one more rukn into the salat, and adding any rukn into salat intentionally or unintentionally or out of nisyan and forgetfulness, in all cases the salat is batil. So we cannot add it. So now when you entered the fourth rakat, you started the ruku, you cannot turn back to the maghrib. So you can only do the udul and transfer to maghrib in the case where you did not cross the border and the mahal of transferring, which is before the fourth rakat and its ruku. Is that clear? Okay. Now he cannot return back. That he will complete his. In that case, he will complete his Isha prayers, and that is correct because he unintentionally or nisyanan, out of forgetfulness, started the Isha. That's not batil. In that case, the Isha will be right. Then he will has to do the Maghrib prayers after it. Isha is sahih. This is what he's supposed to do. What he has to do is Maghrib prayers after the Isha. Now the same is the case about the qada prayers. This is what we are talking about, the adha. So about the qada prayers, the missed prayers, the ruling is the same. If you start your Isha prayers, for example, before the Maghrib, the same is going to apply. You have to do the udul, transfer your niyat back to Maghrib, immediately as soon as you remember, if you did not cross the mahal, which is the border I just described. If you entered in this example, if you started your fourth rakat and you started the ruku, then you have crossed the border, you cannot return back and cannot do the transfer of the niyat and udul. So the same rulings apply for the qada prayers, and likewise the same ruling applies for the qada prayers. Now, the second place the third place where the udul is allowed to be done, and probably that's the last place where the udul is allowed to be done, is in the udul in the niyat. Transferring, we are discussing the subject of niyat. You're transferring your niyat from one prayer to the other. So this udul is the third place where it is allowed, is from where you are allowed to transfer from a fariḍa means the wajib prayers. Fariḍa means the wajib prayers towards a nafila, which means the mustahab and recommended prayers. You are allowed to transfer yourself from a fariḍa towards a nafila in two cases. First case is in the Salatul Jumu'ah. If you started your Dhuhr prayers and then you see the Salatul Jumu'ah is taking place, it's allowed for you to transfer yourself, your niyat. It's not Jum'ah, it is Jumu'ah in Arabic. Salatul Jumu'ah. If you started your Dhuhr prayers and you see the Salatul Jumu'ah is taking place, then you are allowed to transfer your fariḍa. Your fariḍa is the wajib prayers, your Dhuhr that you are doing. You already started your Dhuhr, that's a supposition. You are allowed to transfer your niyat from fariḍa towards any nafila prayers, any mustahab nafila prayers, 2 rakat nafila, and do your nafila quickly and join in the first rakat of the imam before he goes to the ruku or until his ruku. So you can catch the first rakat. So this is the first place where it is allowed to do udul. Udul means transferring your niyat from fariḍa, wajib prayers, towards nafila, the mustahab prayers. The second place where it's allowed to do the udul in the niyat is in the case where you see you are going to miss the jama'at. The jama'at prayers. For the sake of jama'at prayers, if you started for example, your maghrib prayers, and you see later on the imam of jama'at came in and the jama'at started, now you already started your maghrib. In that case, it is allowed for you to transfer the niyat of your maghrib, which is wajib fariḍa prayers, towards any nafila prayers, which is mustahab, and do your mustahab prayers quickly. Mustahab can always be done quickly because you don't have to read the next surah after Fatiha. You don't have to, that's not wajib in mustahab prayers, isn't it right? And you can drop the qunut anyways. It's mustahab in all the salat, in the 5-time daily prayers I'm talking about. So you transfer the niyat to nafila, you can complete it quickly, maybe in 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and you can join the imam of jama'at or up till his ruku. So this is the second place where it's allowed to do the udul of niyat, transferring of your niyat from fariḍa towards a nafila. So these are probably the only places that are in my information right now where the udul is permitted. Now it is not permitted to do the udul in 2 cases. No, it's not allowed for us to, it's not jaiz in Islam to break your salat. You cannot break your salat. Yeah, you can break a mustahab prayers, but that's not an appropriate thing to do. It's jaiz to break a mustahab prayers, but it's not appropriate. You're talking to Allah, obviously, some munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are doing, it's not appropriate. It's a jaiz, but it's not an appropriate thing to do. What? Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. I can't understand your question. Can you please repeat? Uh-huh.
A kid got hurt. Yeah, like a kid flipped or something. You need to break your prayer.
Uh-huh.
So you convert it to nafila, you finish the nafila, and then you do whatever you want.
Yeah, if it's a kid got hurt and he needs your immediate help, then you don't need to convert it to nafila. Even your wajib prayers, it would be wajib on you to break it if you can save the life. If there is a significant harm being inflicted on someone, even on your own self or anyone else, or any emergency need of an urgent basis, an emergency situation, then if there are, it's allowed to break your salat, even faridah. You can break your faridah prayers. Then obviously you can, if you should not break your salat actually. Don't do that. This is not a good practice, because you see we are talking to Allah and we leave Allah's mahdar and His presence, being in His special presence. We are always in the presence of Allah, but specifically in the salat, in the presence of Allah, talking to Him, and leave the gathering and just for a reason which is unjustifiable. That's la yanbaghi. That's something which is not appropriate for a mu'min. No, converting into nafila for that reason is not a good reason. That's not a good reason.
Sometimes you just, khushu and khuzu is not there. You started, things come to your mind, you can't get rid of them. It's really bothering, something really bothering you. You know your prayer is not good. If you know it's for dunya, it's whatever is bothering you. Instead of breaking it, can you convert it into a nafla, finish nafla, take a break, come back, and then do what?
No, don't do that either. No, this is not.
You know your namaz is not good.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with converting it, because even after converting, when we restart the prayers, we can again end up having in the same situation. Those situations at the time of salat do not happen for this kind of things. That happen for the level of taharat of the person, which is already there, whether you break it or you don't break it. So those situations have nothing to do with the outside situations and halat the person is going through. Our khudu and khushu has something to do with the inside halat of ahwal of the qalb, nothing to do with the outside. Imam Ali salam did his salat during Battle of Siffin, when the arrows are coming. Outside situation has nothing to do with the salat. So the solution is not the solution. So we don't do that. So faridah to nafila is allowed in these two situations. It's okay. And then likewise, what I was telling you is that there are two places where it is not allowed to do the udul in Islam. First place is of which salat? No. When you are in the third rakat of the Zuhr, then obviously nafila is not 3 rakat prayers. Nafila is a 2 rakat prayers. You can't convert. You already entered into, crossed the mahal of udul, the border of the udul and transferring of the niyat. Second rakat. For this, in this case, it's a second rakat, because nafila is only a 2 rakat.
So, in
No, what he was asking, if you are in your third rakat of Faridah, now can you transfer into a nafila? I said no, because when you transfer into a nafila in third rakat, there is no nafila of 3 rakats. Nafila is a 2 rakat prayer, always.
As long as you haven't started the Fatiha for the third rakat.
Well, technically speaking, even if you started the Fatiha of the third rakat or Tasbihat Arba'ah of the third rakat, you can still transfer unless you entered into a rukn. Because, you are talking about in this case where a person sahwan and nisyanan, or you're talking about in this case? In this case, a person, the supposition and fard and supposition is that a person is intentionally doing his faridah. He is not forgot, nothing. Intentionally. Here, if he starts did the qiyam for third rakat, now he cannot transfer after qiyam. Even if he did not start the Fatiha, he just did the qiyam, that's it. He enters into third rakat. But in this earlier example, if he was sahwan or nisyanan doing the fourth rakat of Isha right now, as long as he did not cross the mahal, which is entering into the rukun. So if he is just in the qiyam and reading the tasbihat arba'ah, that is not rukun, that's a wajib ghair rukni. So he can transfer back to, he can sit down, he should sit down actually. It will be wajib on him to sit down, do the tashahhud and the salam for the maghrib, and for the qiyam az-za'id, for one extra standing, there is no sajdatay as-sahw in Islam. It is mustahab to do sajdatay, 2 sajdas of sahw for likulli ziyadatin wa nuqsan, for every addition and deficit. But it's not wajib. So one qiyam az-za'id, one extra standing, which was unintentional. Obviously, if it was intentional, it would be different, but it's unintentional. He did not remember that he should say Maghrib first. So unintentional qiyam, extra qiyam is okay. In this case, the situation is different because the person is starting the faridah amdan. It's not sahwan and nisyanan. Now here, when he started the faridah amdan, the sharia says he's allowed to transfer, do the udul of his niyyat to a nafila in these 2 cases. Is that clear? So in 2 places you cannot transfer, you cannot do the udul. What are those 2 places? Udul and transferring your niyyat from a nafila towards a faridah. That's not allowed. You can't do that. Okay? If you started your nafila prayers and then you think, okay, let me do some kind of my qadha prayers, or it's the time of the salat, I have to do my wajib salat that I did not do, let me transfer my niyyat to the wajib salat instead of doing nafila. You cannot do that. You cannot transfer from a nafila towards the faridah. Likewise, the second thing which is not allowed is that transferring yourself from a nafila towards another nafila. You started the nafila of maghrib and now you want to change your niyyat towards salat al-ghufayla. You cannot do that. One nafila towards another nafila is not allowed. Okay? These are 2 places where we cannot do the udul un-niyyah. Any nafila to any nafila and any nafila to any faridah. पढ़ सकते हैं. In the prayers it is allowed, in the fasting it is not allowed. If you have wajib prayers on your neck, you are allowed to do your nafila mustahab prayers. But if you have wajib fastings on your neck, you cannot do any mustahab fast until you first complete the wajib fast, qada.
then you have to do it. Previous year's fasting of the previous Ramadan, you have to complete it before the next Ramadan. If a person does not complete it, there's a kafara of 750 grams. Al-muddul wahid min at-ta'am, which is 750 grams of wheat to be given per every fast to a mu'min miskeen person. That's the kafara. Plus, obviously, we do the istighfar because it's not allowed to do it intentionally. Qadha. Qadha is always there, yes. That's true. Yeah, qaza is the same thing applies. If you started you have qaza of Maghrib and Isha on your neck. You sahwan or nisyanan started your Isha prayers first. The same ruling applies. You can do the transfer of niyat from Isha towards the Maghrib. You should do it actually, not you can. You should do your transfer because these are salawatun murattaba. These are sequential prayers. Maghrib has to be first and Isha has to be second. So you must transfer in the case you did it sahwan or nisyanan, you must transfer. If you did your qadha of Isha first, amdan, your Isha is batil.
So if you have let's say 2 days qadha from last year, you still have to do those 2 days in order.
Order is there between the two prayers, but you can do your Fajr prayers later and you can do your Dhuhr and Asr ahead. That's okay. For example, somebody has qadha of 1 day. He can do the qadha of Dhuhr first and then the Asr, and then he can do the qadha of Fajr later.
Why? So it's okay to do Dhuhr and Asr before Fajr, but it's not
Yes.
okay to do Asr before Dhuhr?
Yes, that's correct. Because there's a tertib between these two prayers which is required, necessary. In those 3 times of Fajr, there's a different time. Dhuhrain has a different time. Maghribain has a different time. From those 3, you can mess up between that. You can do whichever one first. But between the Dhuhrain and Maghribain, you have to remember the tertib. You can do Maghribain, then Dhuhrain, and then the Fajr. You can do that. You can do that. 3 Fajr, 3 Dhuhrain, and then 3 Maghribain. You can do that. But between Dhuhr and Asr, you have to do 30.
So, okay, now let's move forward to the discussion that we were talking about the niyat. So if a person does the riya, I told you, if a person does the riya, means showing off in the niyat, that means he is doing his salat or any other ibadat for the sake of showing off to the people. You want? Shall I erase it? Oh, thank you so much. Jazakallah. Niyat is the same. No, it's not qadha. You can just do, I'm praying Salatul Layl Qurbatan ila Allah. All 11 rakats. No. If you can't do 11, you can do 3 rakats of prayers.
If you can't do 3 rakat, you can do 1 rakat. You get some sawab. Very obviously it will be less, but every ibadat has some sawab.
So, Riya
means showing off. Obviously, it's a big sin, and in addition to, and Riya is classified into 3 possible scenarios. First, a person does ibadat for the sake of
3 or 4 scenarios.
For the sake of anyone, anything other than Allah. The whole ibadat is for the sake of ghairullah. Anyone or anything other than Allah. Obviously, this kind of ibadat is haram. Riya is haram. Plus, it's batil. It's invalid. You have to redo your prayers. Or the second scenario possible is that somebody does the ibadat or worship for Allah plus anyone or anything other than Allah. Allah and ghairullah, both together included. This ibadat is also haram, plus it's batil and invalid. You have to redo your prayers.
The fourth possible scenario is that the third possible scenario, Hassan, is that
the ibadat he does for Allah, but a small any part of ibadat, only one part of ibadat, any part is for anyone or anything other than Allah. For example, any part means like qunut, the dua that we read, or choosing a specific surah. In the home, when I read, I don't read that surah. When I come to the people, I choose that surah. So, choosing of the surah is for the sake of the people. Or qunut, the dua. I read a longer dua in the qunut in front of the people. When I'm in the loneliness, I read a smaller dua, for example. So this is the salat is for Allah, but some part of the salat has riya in it, for example. Or I recite the qunut in a very or surah or whatever, something in a nicer way to make the people realize, so I can get their praise from the people, to get the praise from the people. So this is one part of the salat is for the sake of Allah. So this is also, the ruling is, it's haram, and plus you have to repeat the prayers. It's batil. Hurmat is hukmun taklifi, part of al-ahkam al-taklifiyya that we studied already, and butlan, batil, is hukmun wad'i, which we also studied, if you remember, a long time ago. Ahkam al-wad'iyya and al-ahkam al-taklifiyya. We did it? Is that right?
I'm sorry. I don't know why it's my one was in my mind. So,
and the fourth one was for doing it for the sake of Allah, but choosing a special place or time, choosing a specific place or time for anyone or anything other than Allah. For example, praying a salat in the beginning time, awwalul waqt. So you're doing the salat for Allah, but the time you are choosing for the salat, you are praying in awwalul waqt so that the people know, for the sake of people. If people were not there, you would pray it later. Because the people are there, you are praying in the awwalul waqt. So this is also riya. So this is about that specific time. Now a specific place, for example, masjid. I would stay in my home to pray, but now because the people are there, for the sake of the people, I go to the masjid to show off to them, not for qurbatan ilallah. So choosing of the place, masjid for example, is for the sake of the riya. This is also haram, and the salat is also batil in all the four cases. Yeah. So ibadat is if a person does the riya, means showing off, after he is done with the ibadat. After he's done with the ibadat, he does the riya after that. After I come from Hajj, I sit in every gathering and I talk, oh, I went for Hajj, I did this ibadat there, I did that ibadat there. After the ibadat is done, I am bragging about my ibadat. So the riya is taking place after the ibadat is done. You don't have to mention that you did, this kind of worships, whatever, in Hajj or wherever, we don't mention. Unless there's an Islamically justifiable reason, why you are mentioning your ibadat. For example, encouraging other people to go for ibadat. For example, you don't have the niyat for riya, but you want to encourage other people to go to do something good. Sometimes like we are giving our sadaqah and charity openly, so that we encourage other people to also learn to give the sadaqah. So this is an encouragement, that's not riya. So it depends on the niyat of the person. So if a person does riya after he is done with the ibadat, in this case it will be haram, but not batil. Obviously, how can it be batil? The ibadat is already done, it's completed. So if a person is doing riya after the end of the ibadat, it cannot be batil now. It would be batil during that. If the riya is done during the ibadat, in any of these forms, the ibadat is batil. Plus also it's haram. But after you are done with the worship, the ibadat is already done. It cannot be batil, but it's haram. Sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin. सवाब